The Founders of Hogwarts, Part 1, Episode 4. Written and performed by Amanda K. Skelton. Inspired by the wizarding world of Harry Potter by J.K. Rowling. Fade in. Interior Britain School, Salazar study. Noon. Salazar Slytherin sits in a crammed office. He looks at the sketches of a tall astronomy tower and smiles. The hourglass on his desk chimes, and he gets ready to leave. He opens the door to his dingy office, but something heavy blocks his exit. From the hallway, there's a mound of clutter blocking his door. From his study, Salazar manually forces the door open, knocking all the boxes and items to the ground. Interior Britain School, hallway, continuing. A buff wizard, Master Mylor, with long flowing locks and a perfect smile, snickers at the incident. "Sorry there, Sally. Forgot you were back there." A group of male teachers behind him chuckles. Mylor flicks his wand and the boxes vanish. A group of young witches and wizards of lower class enter. Mylor nods to them. "New students, and by the stench of them, I'd say they were yours." A separate queue of students follows Mylor, clearly coming from wealth. From the poor bundle, the tallest boy opens his mouth to speak, but Salazar cuts him off. "My name is Lord Slytherin, and I will be your teacher for astronomy and history of magic and artifacts. Your introductions will be made later. For now, find a seat and take out your wands." The students all exchange worried looks, but they don't move. The tallest boy answers first. "My lord, what if I don't have a wand?" Salazar blinks in utter bewilderment. "Explain to me how you managed to show up to lessons about magic without one." "I never received a wand. My parents know not where to buy one." "And your parents, they wouldn't be muggles, would they?" The tallest boy looks around at his classmates before asking, "What are muggles?" Salazar closes his eyes and presses his fingers to his lips, physically keeping his frustration at bay. Muggles are people with no magical capabilities or influence. They are exceedingly ordinary. The students are quiet. "I take it all of you are Muggleborns?" They nod. "I'm sorry, I didn't hear you," everyone responds. Yes, my lord. "Who found you and sent you to my class?" A short girl with black curly hair speaks. "A gangly man with mousy hair and crooked teeth. He told us to come and bring these." She holds out a solid gold coin in her hand. Everyone takes out their money. Salazar understands. Of course he did. Cut to Interior Britain's School, Nordahl's office, noon. Stacks of money overtake Nordahl's oversized desk and his roomy office. But in strong defiance on the edge stands what's left of a magnificent half-dead plant called a jealous orchard, with dark magenta and blue petals. Among the gold towers of greed, one of the bottom petals falls to its death and captures Nordahl's attention. He abandons his count and strokes the petal sweetly. Another bad day. Then suddenly, Salazar barges in unannounced. "It will be a cold day on the sun when I start teaching Muggleborns anything magical." Nordahl discards the petal along with any moment of solace. "Please, do come in. We had a deal. You assured me that you would only send me purebloods to instruct. That agreement was made before the war, and the crown took everything. Did they bring money?" Salazar tosses a pouch onto the table. "The reputation of this school is at stake." Nordahl silences Salazar with a hand. "Without funds, there would be no school, and your snobbery is not cheap. I'm allowing any person with a single drop of magic to attend, because their gold is no less glittery." Salazar magically pulls out his silver coin of Charlemagne. "Salazar, what are you doing?" Nordahl knows the coin and how dangerous it really is. He watches in terror as it flies into the air and lands somewhere deep in the stacks of his gold and silver. "Did you just throw your cursed coin into my gold? Are you mad?" "Must have slipped. You know what they say. One bad apple can ruin the bushel. When you find it, let me know." Salazar takes a seat, watching as Nordahl stares helplessly at his tainted wealth, not even sure where to start. "Or you can give me proper students to teach." Anger boils inside Nordahl, but he remains calm. and rummages through his desk and finds a rolled-up scroll and throws it into the air and unravels in flight. The court has granted us a new astronomy tower. This is surprisingly good news to Salazar as he sits up, and Nordahl knows it. I know you've been pining for one for some time, and I think the court is taking special consideration for your request. A tower as tall as the one you've asked for isn't something that is easy to hide, but we can make it work. Salazar's eyes glance over the impressive plans. I don't need you to build my tower. Nordahl smirks. Yes, you do. The court won't allow any structure to stand over 100 feet this close to the Muggle world without my signature of approval. Nordahl holds up the approval document with both hands on either side, threatening to rip it in half. Salazar bites his tongue at the sound of tear, and immediately the deadly coin whizzes back into his pocket. Nordahl smiles wickedly. Now, your heathens await. Cut to later. Nordahl, still in his office, goes back to sorting his money. This time there's a knock at the door, but before it's forced open without an invitation, Nordahl responds. Please, don't bother knocking. My office is Captain Gryffindor. Godric Gryffindor enters, fuming. Nordahl is happy to see him. I believe a congratulations are in order for your victory. How was the war? Godric doesn't even attempt to smile. Let's get the part where you pretend to care about the men who lost their lives at your request. Nordahl drops his fake smiley demeanor. Very well. You're not groveling, so I assume you have it. Godric takes a small dragon hide pouch from his belt, the top of the bag smoking. Nordahl looks down, disappointed. Is that all? I was expecting something more. Godric waves his wand over the bag. Flames burst from the top, forming a vicious dragon, flapping its fiery wings and snorting violently at Nordahl, whose face lights up in delight at the sight. Ah! A Turkish short temper. Wonderful. Nordahl reaches for the bag, but Godric slams his hand down last second. Where are my stones? Nordahl raises an eyebrow. And out comes Gryffindor the businessman. Nordahl flicks his wand and a small maroon purse flies onto the table. Godric collects it, pouring out several dozen flawless rubies into his palm, checking their luster. Nordahl watches. They're all accounted for. Godric returns the rubies to their pouch and leaves without hesitation. A pleasure doing business with you. The door slams. Nordahl's fingers steep to his lips and his eyes fall greedily onto the bag. He sets the bag with the rest of his collection. The black and tortoise bag makes 7 dragon fire bags total, and on the shelf, just under them, are 7 rotting jealous orchids, long forgotten and cared for. Then, there's another rapid knock at the door, and Nordahl's assistant, Allard, rushes in with a letter in his hand. Sir, I really need to start locking my door. Allard ignores Nordahl and continues. This came from London Wicks first. There's been an incident. Nordahl is already bored with this information. What kind of incident? A student's been burned at the stake and barely survived. Who was the teacher who was in charge? Allard swallows. Who's the teacher that was in charge? It's not a hard answer. It was Professor Ravenclaw, sir. Nordahl snaps his attention to Allard. Rowena Ravenclaw. Allard nods. Nordahl continues. And who was the student? Allard is scared to answer. Nordahl rips the letter open and reads the name and slams his fist on the table. Cut to interior Rowena's home, noon. Rowena's home is scholarly and quiet. She hands Alame his final grade. Full marks, congratulations. Your scale is fit for a king, so I better not catch you forging for peasants. Alame smiles, grateful. Yes, Mom, thank you, Professor. He exits. She returns to her research. Cut to interior Rowena's house, private library, early afternoon. Down the hallway in the next room, we meet Rowena's daughter, Helena, a spry 11-year-old with hair as black as her mother's and her father's hazel eyes and smooth olive skin. She searches her mother's library for something specific and finally finds it, a small ring-sized box tucked behind a handsome portrait of her father, Reclerus. Carefully, Helena sets it on her mother's desk and rubs her fingers together excited. Magically, without a wand, she expands the box to its full size, and inside is the beautiful diadem of Ravenclaw. Helena takes it out with the utmost respect and places it on her head. Bells softly chime in the distance. Helena lights up at her triumph, but her satisfaction is short-lived as the door handle turns. Rowena enters her library and stops to find her daughter sitting innocently at her desk, no diadem or box in sight or anything out of place. There's an iciness between mother and daughter. Not getting into any trouble, are we? No, mother, just reading. How are finals? Fine, how was your day? Fine. The air fills with a dozen unspoken conversations between mother and daughter, as neither of them know what to say next. Finally, Helena takes her book and leaves, but Rowena's suspicion of her daughter remains. Cut to. Later, Rowena sits at her desk and examines several different bones, comparing them to her husband's notes. She affectionately places a hand on the RR box. She opens it, but it's empty. Rowena takes out a bottle and opens the top. A small, powdery winged horse escapes out. It trots out, stretching its wings. Rowena lights a candle with her wand. Ready? The powdery Pegasus neighs and gallops by the candle. The flames blow out for a moment, and the flame returns brighter than it was before. The horse looks back at its efforts and drops its head. No, it's all right. We'll keep trying. The horse nods to Rowena and trots back into the bottle. Rowena sets it off to the side and makes a note in her research. Helena brings in a plate of food to her mother. She makes room on the table by moving the RR box. Helena barely opens up the lid when her mother slaps it shut. Don't touch. Rowena takes the box. Helena sits in a huff. There's a knock at the door, and a courtier enters. Professor Rowena Ravenclaw? Yes? Your presence is requested at court. He hands her the summons. Rowena reads it over and over and over again. Very well, they can expect me in an hour, Helena pipes up. But we're supposed to go visit father. And you may still. Tabitha will take you. But my chambersmaid is Thora. Of course it is. Helena stands, moving to her mother. But he wants to see you, Helena. I have business to attend to. Helena leaves, disappointed in her mother. But as she nears the door, she spots a row of handcrafted clay jars. Helena looks back at her mother, who has her back turned to her. Helena sneaks and hovers her hand over the tallest jar. Helena! Her mother catches her. Don't touch those, please. Helena looks down, annoyed. You have a lot of things in here that people can't touch. Rowena sighs. That's because most things in here are not toys. Rowena points to the jars. These jars are used to collect organs, but not in a fun way. Not fun for who? Rowena can't help but smile down at her daughter, enjoying Helena's question. For the people they're pointed at. Now, off you go, or you'll be late seeing your father. Helena leaves, but her curiosity still lingers in the jars. Fade to black.